What about you, YouTube? What's happening? So we are running through 7.1.3, and we're going to take a look at the Mutant Connoisseur path. So I did quite a lot of testing, and when I searched on YouTube, everyone was using Magneto. So the node essentially is the defender will take 90% less damage from all other sources except special attacks that are activated with Prius. But with the Mutant Mastery node, you have a 40% chance using a mutant that causes debuffs to gain a Prius. So I tested a lot of people. I tested Archangel, Domino, Trinity, Namor, Omega Red, none of which were great options. I was trying to find someone that wasn't Magneto, because my 5-star Magneto is only rank 2. I tested Sunspot, and Sunspot does work, but I think Havok is the far superior option for a couple of reasons. So I do fast forward a few of these fights just to try and cut the video time down. So my team going in is Havok. I've brought in Wasp because the synergy Wasp has with Havok is every time you perform a well-timed block, so every time you parry, you're going to gain a plasma buff. So by the time you get to 10, every time you get a plasma debuff on the opponent, you're going to get, you have that chance to get the Prius from the node. So the first fight against Sentry, all we're trying to do is just parry heavy. So we parry because that gives us a chance to get the Prius from the node. We heavy because that places the feedback debuff, which gives us another chance for more Prius. And then obviously when you parry and you place the plasma debuff, so that's 3 ways to gain your Prius. So one special 3 from Havok, and Sentry is down. So the good thing about this team as well, the Magneto synergy that I'm using gives mutant special attacks plus 12% attack rating. So it just means because on this path all your damage that you're doing is coming from special attacks, there's no point in boosting. So if you just throw in that 12%, it actually saves you using, like a 12% boost. So I've got it with Archangel and Colossus. That gives the synergy, but there's so many mutants that do. You can bring in Archangel with Phoenix, Beast, Iceman, or Colossus. You can bring in Colossus, or you can bring in Cyclops Blue and use Colossus or Wolverine to get it, or you can bring in Cyclops Red and use Storm or Colossus to get it as well. So with the Black Panther fight, because of his armor ups, what I really should have done in hindsight was just constantly parry, and then once I get to 10 plasma debuffs, then I can start using heavies to get that Prius up, get the Prius up from the node a bit more. So when you land a heavy from Havok, he's going to place, I have no idea why he went unstoppable there, by the way. I still can't figure it out. I haven't even looked at his, just in case it's something that Black Panther Civil War has, but I don't think it is. But whenever you place a heavy attack with Havok, it'll consume 2 of your plasma buffs, and then you'll get the passive Prius buff that you see. I'm currently at 2 stacks in the top left hand corner. So after doing a bit of testing, it seems to be the sweet number to get from the Prius from the node is around 32, but if you want to play it safe, just get to 35. So we're just hammering away, playing a bit defensively against this Black Panther Civil War. I actually did dash back there, but for some reason Havok just didn't move. So for this entire path, I only used Havok, and I used 1 revive, and I actually didn't die to the boss. I died to Venom Pool because I ran straight into an SP2, which you won't see in the video, but it happened. So there we go. So as you see, we're only at 30 Prius here, and we almost get him down with 1 SP3, but not quite. The good thing about Havok as well is that the plasma debuffs, he converts them into his own Prius. So you're getting absolutely mad damage from any of his specials. So I think when I finish him off with an SP2 and I don't actually have any Prius on Havok from placing the debuff, it's just Havok's own Prius. So yeah, I've seen pretty much any YouTube person that I've seen put up a video for this path, it's all been Magneto, and I was actually going to take my Magneto from rank 2 to rank 5 just for this path, but I decided to do a bit more testing with some mutant champs and found out that Havok is absolutely immense. So the great thing about this team that I brought is because we have Wasp for the Havok synergy, it means that I can then swap Havok out at the swap node just before the boss, and I can bring in Ghost. So it's Ghost that I use for the boss, and then we already have Wasp there for the Ghost and Wasp synergy. So I've just sped up this She-Hulk fight. When I first did it, I was quite surprised that, you know, at 31 Prius, 1 SP3 didn't do as much damage as I expected. So after the fight, I went and looked at her abilities, and I think the damage reduction comes from her Awaken ability, because fighting against mutants, they suffer, I think it's minus 70% ability accuracy, something along those lines. And so I think that was why there was a reduction in the damage. But basically all you want to do with Havok is just parry heavy and just watch those Prius absolutely climb. So here we go. This is the one that just finishes off She-Hulk, and that's another one in the bin. So I was a bit late in recording this video, so it threw my controls off at the start. So I take actually quite a few slaps from the Thor Ragnarok, but I'm not too worried about Thor Ragnarok, because at the end of the day, if you do take an SP3 to the face, the damage is capped at, I think it's what, 15%? So it's either 15% or 25%, something like that. So we're just rinsing and repeating, same as every other fight, just parry heavy, trying to get as many Prius as we can. And then as soon as you fire that SP3 off, it's pretty much game over. So here I should have done a medium then heavy, but I didn't. But it's alright because he fires a special off anyway. So just baiting these out. And if you look, every time a plasma debuff gets applied to the opponent, you know, the Prius from the node is building up pretty fast. With the Wasp synergy, you could actually just do these fights just constantly parrying, but the thing that the risk you run there is that you can back yourself into a corner. So that's what I didn't really want to do. And especially if you're just doing parry heavy, it keeps the opponent on their side of the screen. So that way there's very little chance that you're going to get backed into a corner. But here we're at 31 Prius, and I figured that should probably be enough, especially with the plus 12% special attack damage. Just fire off that SP3 and throw Ragnarok's in the bin. I could not believe how insane Havok was for this. I was chatting with one of my alliance fellow officers in my alliance, and he loves Magneto and has him at rank 5. And I was saying that I might have to rank Magneto up just for this path, because I've done 100% of 7.1 just at the weekend pass. But it just dawned on me. I was like, you know, Havok's specials hit like an absolute truck. And then I remembered that he can apply the debuff from his heavy. So I figured I would give it a try. And when it worked, I was pleasantly surprised, because I already had Havok at rank 5. And just with the Wasp synergy, it just works out so well. So we're just looking into this Thor Jane Foster, sorry. So as you can see, it's like there's absolutely zero damage being done up until the point where you can fire off the SP3. I haven't tested it without doing heavies to get the passive prowess, but I imagine he still hits pretty damn hard. And if you had, you know, if you had a power reserve boost on, like 200% or even 150% one, you could probably just do SP3 and then SP2, and it would be game over. But for the majority of 7.100%, I didn't really use boosts. There was a couple of paths that I just didn't have the right champions for, so I did boost. But for the most part, I didn't bother. It's another SP3, and it's another defender in the bin. So I've just sped up the last fight, so I already died at this point, just put in a 40% revive to go into Venom Pull. Still can't believe I just ran straight into an SP2, took it to the face, and that was it. It was game over. But to be honest, one revive, I had it in the stash, so I wasn't too bothered. Overall, the entire exploration of 7.1 took me about 2 days, but I'm quite lazy. I'll do maybe 2 or 3 fights, then I'll take like a half-hour break. So you can, if you really wanted to, probably grind it out in a day, but it's just not that enjoyable for me. So I just spread it out over the course of a couple of days. So we're just trying to get a couple more prowess. I get backed into the corner and figure 32 is probably enough. And then pulls in the bin. So the great thing about Act 7 is that you have this swap out node. So we swap out Havok for Ghost, and the fact that it's not like dungeons or incursions where when you swap the champion out, they start with the same amount of health. You actually get full health, so I couldn't think of a better team, to be honest. So this Red Hulk fight has Buffy and stuff like that, but I'm not too worried about that. It's just standard Ghost play. But the good thing that this has is that if you intercept the opponent, you gain a Fury buff, which increases your attack by 200%. So if you're quick enough with Ghost and you just do a single hit punish, so you phase and after they throw one medium, then it counts as an intercept. So you gain that Fury. I learned that also works for Do Not Go Gentle. So Do Not Go Gentle is the node where for, I think it's every 5 hits in your combo meter, you gain a charge, and where the defender would be knocked out, you take direct damage. But if you just do single medium intercepts with Ghost, it counts as an intercept, because the defender hasn't actually fully finished their animation, which is pretty cool to know. So we're just battering away at this Red Hulk. Red Hulk's just one of those people, it has like so much physical resistance through his heat charges. I actually have my 5-star at rank 5, and he's a pretty good champion, and he's really beefy. He can take a lot of hits once he's at 10 charges. So I would go out on a limb and say that Havok is by far a better counter than Magneto. It might just be that I'm a bit biased, but it's just nice to see that Magneto's not the only option, because I would hate to have to take one of my champions from rank 2 to rank 5 for one path. So I think the plus 12% attack synergy isn't really necessary, but at least there's a lot of options where you can get it with different mutant champs. But I would definitely recommend bringing Wasp with Havok. So that is Mutant Connoisseur path done and dusted, only one revive. If you did enjoy the video or find it helpful, please leave it a like, subscribe, share with your alliance. Leave a comment if there's any other mutant that you find that was really helpful for this path. I know Sunspot is a decent option, but if there's always an obscure one, so if you'd like to leave that in the comment section below, I'll catch you in the next.